You read it right, folks. The ETH 2.0 deposit contract is officially out and Mainnet is close to release. So today we're going to talk about some of the details that's already been released with the public, and we'll just pretty much go into it, talking about how much money you might be making if you're staking on ETH 2.0, some of the complications you might have to go through if you decide on staking on your own versus staking with another platform, and pretty much any information they have on here. And they have quite a lot. So let's get into it. So the first thing is you'll notice is the network status. Now, for ETH 2.0 to officially launch and the mainnet to begin, there needs to be a certain amount of ETH already staked on the deposit contract, essentially. So there needs to be a certain amount of Ethereum, or ETH actually, deposited into the contract that we're talking about. So in this case, as of making this video, we have about 8,200 ETH has been staked and counting, and we still need about 524,000 ETH, or pretty much 16,384 validators to actually launch the mainnet of ETH 2.0. So really what that means is there needs to be about 16,384 people to go ahead and deposit 32 ETH individually into the actual deposit contract so that the mainnet can commence. But really, and that's to me what I was actually finding interesting, where it's like, in the testnet, and I participated in some of the testnets a little while ago, including Onyx and one of the other ones. A lot of people were participating in those because fake ETH, right? You could just pretty much you got airdropped 32 fake Ethereum or Ether, and you were able to just stake right away. It's just so you can test out exactly what the network would act like in a real world scenario. Where in this case, this is the mainnet. So this is like, you see this 8,200 ETH that's been deposited? That's real Ether, right? And mind you, this is a one-way ticket, essentially. So currently, if you deposit your Ether there into this contract, you're not getting that back out for another, I think from what they were saying, about 2 years, right? So, you know, I think that's why there isn't that much Ether already staked into it, just because people are a little bit afraid of losing their Ether. I know I would love to participate in this, so I might end up doing it. I might not. We'll see. I mean, and you'll see actually why the incentive is pretty good to end up doing it. But essentially, we're waiting for this many people to actually start, and we'll actually go into the actual dates of when everything is going to happen in a little bit too. But let me get into the actual rewards first. So if you look down here, staking and rewards. So there's like a little, like a cool little graph over here, pretty much detailing how much you'll make, per year if you choose to end up staking with ETH 2.0, or choose to end up staking your ETH. Now in this case, currently at this rate, if we were to go live on the mainnet with with 524,000 Ethereum, and this is actually looks like it's going to be the threshold, right? So this is going to be the absolute minimum we need to launch the mainnet. So let's say if only the absolute minimum people actually end up staking their ETH, oh my God, the return on investment yearly will be 21%. That's nuts. And something I want you guys to keep in mind is that that's your return on Ether, not money. So like if Ethereum right now is worth $400, you're depositing 32. Quick math, what is that? $12,000. That's not 20% of $12,000. That's going to be 21.6% of however much Ether you have in there. So 32 Ether, 20% of that, right? So keep that in mind. I think if you are a hardcore crypto fan, you believe in Ether, you believe in Bitcoin, you believe in right here, you believe in the cause, then it's probably a good choice to go with. But mind you, and it depends how many people deposit, because as more people deposit, you'll notice the actual amount that you're going to get per year is going to go down. So let's say if there's a total of 1 million ETH staked, you'll only get 15% per year, right? So, again, I would say you're probably going to want to be in this for the long haul, just so you know. Just so you know. And mind you, by the way, I think when you actually deposit your ETH, you get a kind of like an IOU back in return, like pretty much like like an IOU token back in return. So you'll give them your 32 ETH, and you'll essentially get the ETH whatever in return for the time being, because again, you need to have some way of getting your Ether out when it comes time. Now moving back down here, you'll notice this is actually a little bit of the milestone that has been going on these past couple months. Actually, really past couple months. I was going to say years, but because ETH 2.0 has been in the works for quite some time. But you'll notice that the Mandala Testnet was actually the last thing, like right before this started. And again, I was participating in it in a little bit, and it's one of those things where I want you to keep in mind, if you plan on running your own ETH node, So like if you plan on staking your Ether by yourself, just keep in mind it's not the kind of thing you just leave running, right? Because you could like end up coming back to it, let's say like a day later or an hour later or what have you, honestly. And you might have to attend to it. You might have to make sure that it's still running correctly. Like there's like you don't know how many times I don't know how many times I was running my ETH node in the testnet. I think it was on Onyx though, so it was a little bit premature. And I just came back and it wasn't running correctly, or like I was essentially I wasn't attesting and and I wasn't approving any transactions, so I wasn't getting rewarded. I was actually losing Ether actually. So keep that in mind. You know, if you don't have the time to make sure that that node is running correctly, don't do it. I'll be straight up, like just don't do it. And mind you, you're gonna want to be connected to the internet almost at all times. So yeah, like definitely keep that in mind, especially when you're choosing between running it by yourself and running it with another provider instead. But anyways, what I did want to get into actually is not the actual sign up itself, but some of the other things. So let's talk about that quick update by Danny Ryan, which is one of the main developers on Ethereum. So he mentions here that there's a minimum genesis time of, and they have like a little block time, or Unix actually, minimum genesis time of December 1st, 2020. So essentially at that time, well, to trigger that genesis time, there has to be at least 16,384 validators, as we mentioned earlier. 3,000, oh my God, sorry, this is so many numbers. There needs to be at least 6,384 32 ETH validator deposits 7 days prior to December 1st. If not, Genesis will be triggered 7 days after this threshold has been met. So pretty much as soon as there is this amount of ETH deposited, 524,288 ETH, 7 days after that is when the mainnet will officially launch. So currently they're planning for December 1st. So essentially they're hoping for everyone to deposit that 524,000 Ether within about 20 days. So again, I'll be impressed if that happens. I honestly don't think that's going to happen unless these other projects come into play and start depositing for other people. So for example, one of the main ones that I wanted to touch on was Anchor. So as you can see, Anchor, I made a video about Anchor, by the way. I'll link it up here above. They have something called Staker, which will allow you to actually deposit your ETH using an Anchor node, right? And the good thing about this is that you don't have to keep it running, right? You can essentially pay Anchor, like I guess the company or the project or what have you, in their token, and they'll run your Ether node for you. So you don't have to worry about going back to it, making sure it's running correctly, making sure you have Wi-Fi, none of that stuff. And honestly, I would say if you plan on doing that, maybe it's worth doing that. You know, I might take a look at Anchor as well as a potential way to stake my Ether when it comes time. But I'm definitely going to be considering it because again, I mean, 20% is a lot. 20%, dude. Think about this: if you have your Ether staking for what, just a year from when the Genesis goes live, you put in 32 ETH, and let's say the return is about 20%. You're literally making about 6 ETH a year. And mind you, Ethereum's only, Ether is only $400 right now. So that's $2,400 a year. Now, throw that up to when Ethereum hits $1,000 again, because it's going to happen. Let's be honest, it's going to happen. That's about 6K a year, bro. From doing nothing, pretty much. And you're supporting the network. So, I would do it just because I'd support the network, to be honest with you. I do, again, I'm a big fan of Ether, so definitely. But with that being said, I mean, that's kind of the main thing with the launch pad. In terms of the actual mainnet being launched, it's not going to happen until we hit this threshold of ETH inside the deposit contract, which by the way is right here. This is the deposit contract. If you plan on doing this, double check, triple check, quadruple check where you're sending your Ether. Last thing you need to do is send 32 Ether to a wrong address and never get it back again. Right? And you'll see there's a lot of people doing it actually. Jeez, look at that. This was all 12 minutes ago. Oh, wow. There's a lot of people getting in right now. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I mean, are you guys going to be participating in the ETH 2.0 mainnet launch? I might go ahead and throw my ETH in there, man. I might go ahead and throw it in there. But let me know down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.